I made a sword for one of Minecraft's greatest fighters, and it all started 2 months ago when I messaged ClownPierce. He messaged me back saying he wanted me to make a foam sword for TwitchCon, where he was going to use it to beat up other famous people. Now, this sounded kind of illegal, but he did offer to pay me a lot of money, so I put my morals aside and agreed to making the sword.
The first problem I faced is that I've actually never made a sword like this before. Sure, I've made swords in the past, but this one was foam, a material I didn't have much experience with. Plus, the design was complicated and there was a lot of things I could see going wrong. Sadly, since this was a project for someone else, I couldn't do what I usually do, try random crap until something works. So I started doing some research and found out that number 1, ClownPierce has some very nice body pillows that I'm definitely not ordering 10 of right now, why would you think that? And 2, the sword seemed pretty simple. All I needed was 3 layers of foam, a fiberglass rod, and some contact cement for most of it. What I didn't realize is the prospect of a murdering psychopath coming after me and my family if I messed this sword up was just making me a bit stressed. So even after everything I needed to start the sword had arrived, I started doing what teenagers do best: procrastinate. For a week. I was telling myself I needed more time to do research, but in reality I was just delaying what needed to happen. I needed to start the sword, but I didn't know if I had the strength to do it. But finally, the day came where I knew I couldn't delay any longer. But would I be able to get it together? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Psych! Okay, jokes aside, I needed to be careful here. Any wrong move and I could have to restart from the beginning. Or even worse, get brutally murdered and shoved in the Rio Grande. But what I needed to remember is that all I had to do was cut out the layers, glue them together, and squish them like sugar cookie dough. And to my great relief, everything went smoothly, and now I had a sword-ish thing. Now I was feeling pretty proud of myself, and did the next logical step, and procrastinated another 3 days. Man, I am so efficient. Anyway, the next step was sanding, and the thing with sanding foam is you could either sand it lightly, and take forever, or sand aggressively and realize you're an idiot because half your sword is gone. So naturally I chose the third option, just using a bandsaw to cut out the dimensions and a fillet knife to add an edge. After this I sanded for 6 hours in the Texas summer, which I like to compare to, well, hell. But the sword was starting to look pretty good, so I posted on Twitter, you should follow me by the way, and proceeded to get 200 likes. Now, normally what I would do after such an achievement is procrastinate the next step even more because of the stress to live up to everyone's expectations, but the paint I needed hadn't arrived yet, so technically I wasn't procrastinating, it was waiting for Jeff Bezos to get his crap together. So I ended up waiting another week, doing some remodeling on the sword in the meantime, until finally one of Amazon's overworked employees got my package to me. After telling the employee that he couldn't use my bathroom, I got to work priming the sword, which went really smoothly and looked really nice, so I posted it on Twitter and got another 200 likes. Man, if only they all subscribed to my channel. Anyway, I started painting and remembered why you can't spell paint without pain. But with patience, diligence, and having my mom help with half of it, the painting part was done. And after a bit of leather work for the handle, which my mom also helped with, the sword was finished. All that work finally done. I don't have to worry about being brutally murdered anymore. And now all I have to do is send it to him. At that moment I realized, me and this sword had so many good memories together. We had a connection. I couldn't just throw that away. I knew right then and there I had to keep it. Now I just need to tell ClownPierce. So yeah, I decided to send the sword to him.